Two orders lie in front of you. One decides who is already dead. The other decides who this country will obey tomorrow. A red light blinks at the corner of the desk over and over like an eye that refuses to close. Outside, they are all waiting to see which one you sign first. They are not waiting for the names on the paper. They are waiting for a signal, whether the core of this country is still functioning normally or whether it has already begun to crack. You do not write immediately. You press your hand against the desk and hear a faint vibration rising slowly from underground. You know it is not thunder, and you know the most dangerous thing right now is not the explosion itself. The most dangerous thing is what comes after it. Which position is left empty first? Who uses the casualties to demand a bigger retaliation? Who uses the chaos to fight for greater authority? Who glances up at your seat while everyone else is still bleeding? That is your real battlefield. The door opens and the first to enter are the men from the Revolutionary Guard. They speak fast, hard, with no trace of sleep in their eyes, only the sharp brightness of anger. They want a clearer counterstrike, a louder retaliation, something that will show the enemy, the allies, and everyone wavering at home that deterrence is still in whose hands. They are not only presenting plans to you, they are also testing whether this war might lift them higher than where they stood yesterday. The second group to enter is the regular army. Their voices are lower, their files thicker, their tables more numerous than their slogans. They talk about borders, airspace, roads, power stations, ports, and the points that, if they keep failing, the country will lose before the military does. It is not that they do not want to fight. They simply understand better than the others that a country does not survive on a single act of retaliation. A country survives only if everything stays connected. The Revolutionary Guard wants deterrence. The regular army wants endurance. You want neither side to tear this country apart first. You listen to both and say nothing. You only ask how many days the hospital's backup electricity can still hold, how long the southern ports can remain stalled before food and medicine begin to pile up, which part of the air defense chain is most likely to become the next funeral, and if another senior officer dies tonight, whether the succession list has actually been prepared. The room falls silent. They all know that what you are asking is worse than the question of whether to strike or not, because it means you no longer see war as a cycle of retaliation. You are looking at the limits of endurance. You are not calculating who is braver. You are calculating whether the military, the streets, the television networks, the ports, the hospitals, the religious sites, the market prices, and the scale of the funerals can all still be held together until tomorrow. Then the phone on the desk rings. It is not the front line. It is the political leadership. They are not asking which target is more worth bombing. They are asking whether the supreme leader should still appear in public, whether Parliament should still be allowed to show its arguments, whether television tonight should show the funerals first or the missiles heading toward Israel and the scenes of impact, whether the sermons in mosques and religious schools should begin with patience or with revenge. As you listen, you know that the real war never takes place only on the border or in the sky. It also takes place in every sentence heard by the nation. You know better than anyone that the Supreme Commander's most important weapon is sometimes not firepower but tone. You must let the country see that you are not shaken. You must also let the country see that it has not been reduced to anger alone. You must make the loyal believe that the center still holds. Make the wavering afraid to bet too early. Make the ambitious understand that this is not yet their moment to raise their heads. You lower your eyes to the two orders and finally sign the appointment first. Not because you do not care about the dead. On the contrary, it is precisely because you know the dead will not return that you must first let the living know who they obey next. A funeral can wait an hour. The chain of command cannot remain empty for 10 minutes. Once you reach this seat, you begin to understand that grief itself is a luxury. It is not that you do not feel grief. It is that you cannot let it come before order. At noon, a new summary arrives. The enemy continues striking while also floating signals that this may end soon. News like that never relaxes you. You know that the closer your opponent is to the ending it wants, the more it needs a result clear enough to show. A hit on the center. A video of disorder. A photograph that proves you are already unraveling. At a moment like this, your survival is no longer just a matter of personal safety. If you are alive, it means the system is still alive. The language on paper is short. Once it lands on a body, it becomes an endless weight. You are not only the highest authority over the armed forces, you are also one of the outer shells of legitimacy. The regular army looks to you not only because you can issue orders. The Revolutionary Guard looks to you not only because you can authorize escalation. The religious establishment looks to you to confirm that the signal is still coming from the same center. The political establishment looks to you to know whether the situation can still be described as manageable. The whole country is watching you, watching to see whether you can keep proving that this is not a machine stitched together in haste, not something that belongs to whoever shouts the loudest, but something still held together by a center that remains recognized. By evening, the intelligence service brings you the thing you hate most. Not a battle report, a list of suspicions. The last few strikes were too close, too timely, too much like someone had heard something in advance. You open the first page and see not the enemy, but your own people, whose family is abroad, whose debt has suddenly worsened in recent months, who has fallen silent, who appeared on a channel at the wrong time, who let their eyes hesitate for 1 second too long when they spoke. Because by now you know that many betrayals do not begin with ideology. They begin with exhaustion, with debt, with fear, with family, with the moment a person finally can no longer bear it. The filthiest part of war is not that it collapses houses. It is that it forces you to take apart the people you know layer by layer and see which part of them has already broken. At night, you are finally alone for a few minutes. No advisors, no officers, no cameras, no microphones, only the water on the desk already cold. The clock on the wall makes no sound, but you know time is draining away. When you close your eyes, you are not thinking about maps or the front or slogans. You are thinking about only 4 lines: who replaces whom, who speaks, who holds the streets, and who keeps the military knowing where its orders still come from. Only then do you truly understand that the loneliness of the Supreme Commander is not that no one is with you. It is that no one can carry the weight of those 3 words in your place. Continuity. A frontline commander worries whether he will die tonight. You worry how long it would take the country to realize who to obey in the next second if you die. An officer worries whether a position will fall. You worry whether, if one seat is emptied, the entire chain will empty with it. A politician worries about today's responsibility. You worry whether there will still be a tomorrow anyone believes in. There is a soft knock at the door. The secretary enters without a word and places a new list beside your hand. Another position has opened up. Another name must be filled in. Another family will receive news tonight. You look at the paper and do not turn the page. And suddenly you know with complete clarity that what this war will ultimately test is not who is more willing to retaliate. It will test who can keep a country looking whole while it is still bleeding. You pick up the pen. This time you sign the death notice first, then you turn the page at once and sign the appointment. First acknowledge the loss, then seal the rupture. First allow the country to grieve, then force everything to keep moving. The red light begins flashing again. When you rise, the young officer outside is already standing straight, waiting for you to speak. He looks very young, young enough that he has not yet learned to hide his fear completely. You look at him and know that in a few days, perhaps in just a few hours, he too may be pushed farther forward, forced to memorize new names, new codes, new orders. You do not comfort him. You only say, notify whoever needs to prepare for a public appearance. Notify the military to update the succession chain. Notify television to air the appointment first, then the funeral. Notify everyone that tomorrow begins as planned. He says, yes. You nod and walk forward, because you know that, as Supreme Commander, your most important task has never been winning a single strike. It is making this country continue to function when everyone has started wondering whether it will come apart. There is already someone outside waiting for the next order.